down. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of The Scoreboard. We are getting close to playoff season. We got a lot of critical games, some not so critical games, some of them very interesting, some not so interesting, but we're going to go through all of them, predict all of them, and we got some foreshadowing, I believe, for the fantasy football playoffs as well coming up later in the show from Smokey. But first of all, Smokey, how are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm not bad. I'm actually doing really well because I gained another 2 points on you last week.
Yeah, he messaged me before the Monday night game saying if the Cardinals win, we'll be tied for the week.
Yeah.
And then they didn't even manage to do that. It's a strange feeling having to root for the Cardinals because I never like doing that. But when they play the Rams, I guess that's all I have to do. But I had to take some risks, man. I had to gamble on like the Jets and the Lions.
Yeah.
Didn't really pay off that well.
Well, that brings the total 131 to 123. So I've got 8 on you now.
Got to continue gambling, I guess. That's my only hope. We have 4 more weeks of regular season, and then we have the playoffs. Not a lot of games left to make that up, so got to start this week for sure.
Absolutely.
Week 15. And we're getting it kicked off with a banger right away Thursday night. This is a good one. Chiefs at Chargers.
Yeah, man, both of these teams are really on a roll right now. The Chiefs haven't lost in quite some time, and we saw them completely destroy the Raiders. And you know what, though? They're not doing it in the traditional way that the Chiefs have been winning. If you look at the stats, they put up a lot of points. But if you look at the stats, it seems that the Chiefs are beating teams through their defense. And it looks like that on the field as well. I mean, it's weird to say because the Chiefs are not historically, over the past few years at least, a good defensive team. But they are winning through their defense. And Mahomes isn't setting the world on fire. And neither are the receivers. It's crazy. A lot of run game and a lot of defense in these. But right here, both of these teams seem even, but I'm going to take the safe pick and just go with the Chiefs.
Chiefs have beat the Raiders in every aspect of the game. If you go up 35-0 in the first half, you're winning on offense, defense, and special teams. So that was just a showing and a complete disaster for the Raiders, which is, of course, fantastic because they're on course to go 500 like I predicted. And we'll get to the next, but first we have this one. And actually, when we talked about it, when I was thinking about who my MVP selection is for this week, and I still went with Justin Herbert, I had a little asterisk next to that prediction, which is that this is going to be the pivotal game. This is going to be the game that's going to decide whether, end of the regular season, Justin Herbert's really still a front runner or one of the favorites to win the MVP. If he can show out against Kansas City, even up the records, possibly lead the Chargers to win the division and have a better seed in the AFC, that's going to be huge. So some games in the MVP race matter more than others, and this is one for Justin Herbert that's going to be huge. He has to win it. If he's going to be the MVP, I believe he has to win this game. He has to outplay Patrick Mahomes one-on-one. He has to win the game. And because of that, and also because you picked the Chiefs, I'm going to take the Chargers. I have faith. I think this is probably the two most talented young quarterbacks we have in the league right now. You could throw Josh Allen in the mix there if you want to. But this is an amazing showdown. I'll take Justin Herbert this time. I'm going to say he's going to at least keep up with Mahomes in terms of they're going to be pretty much equal, but I think the Chargers defense is going to make one more play. I think they'll get that one sack, that one interception that they're more prone to getting than the Chiefs defense necessarily has. But even though they look good against the Raiders, I do believe in the Chargers, and they're going to get it done, make it tight at the top of the AFC West there. Speaking of the Raiders, we have them at Cleveland this week.
Yeah, and Cleveland is actually pulling out some wins, and a big one over the Ravens last week. Well, without Lamar Jackson, so it doesn't seem like this extreme feat that they did it, but they did put up 24 points on a fairly decent defense. That's not quite the defense we've seen in the past from the Ravens, but that makes it tough because I think the Browns are clearly better than the Raiders, right? I mean, the Raiders are horrible last week against the Chiefs, and maybe it was because they did the whole meeting on the logo there in the middle of the field, and the Chiefs just mollywopped them for that. But Yeah, I think I'll stick with the Browns at home. They should win this game.
The Raiders really can't get out of their own way, even symbolically. And it was, I guess, when that happened, a lot of people were expecting it to become a blowout, and sort of the karma of the universe dictated it as well. I remember at the start of the season when I said the Raiders would go 500, and we're all concerned about that prediction because they were like, their record was winning. They were like 3-0 and they were like, clearly winning. Now it's getting to the point where they actually have to win some games to stay at 500 because they're a negative record. Now they're probably going to lose to the Browns. That's my pick as well, because Cleveland looked pretty good against division rival there last week. I think they win, and then the Raiders are going to have to pick themselves up if they need a tie and 2 wins going forward. So I need them to show up there. But I'll take the Browns this week. Patriots at the Colts.
Wow, this is going to be a good showdown because the Colts have been on fire, and so have the Patriots. The Patriots have that dominant defense and a sustainable quarterback and run game, which, yeah, this is a run-first offense, definitely. The Colts, however, have been showing out offensively and defensively, and they are coming off the bye. They should be well rested. I think this game is going to be closer than most people expect. I imagine Vegas is giving this one to the Patriots because of their previous record, but the Colts are also fighting their way back into playoff contention, and I'm going to go with the 3 points to the Colts at home.
Wow. All right. That's an interesting pick because this is the one where I pick whatever you don't, and I really wanted to pick the Colts. I wanted you to take I wanted to make the same sort of unexpected kind of upset pick, I guess you can call it. I wanted to pick the Colts. I feel kind of pressured into taking the Patriots, so that's what I'm gonna do. But I already had it prepared, like my entire argument, the speech about the last offensive coordinator to put 40 points on Bill Belichick was Frank Reich with the Philadelphia Eagles in that Super Bowl. So it's been a while, but I think they have a very good shot, the Colts do. But now I'm picking the Patriots, and I'm going to switch my argument around, say, Mac Jones, Rookie of the Year, possible MVP candidate, number 1 seed. They're still the same Patriots, and the Patriots win games. So I'm fully convinced by that now, going with England there. Cowboys at the Giants.
This shouldn't be much of a game. However, the Cowboys looked like they were pulling in Atlanta last week and letting the Washingtons get back in it right there at the last minute. I almost thought at 1 second, like, Washington could win this game. They were about to tie it up, and possibly with the momentum they had, they were going to win that game. But the Cowboys came through in crunch time. Defensively, made the stop. They got through there. Some fumbles were going on, whatever. The Giants are still bad. There's not much to speak about it. Whether it's Glennon or Daniel Jones if he gets back, or even Jake Fromm, I don't think they're going to do much against the Cowboys. So, Cowboys on the road.
I really wanted to see Jake Fromm, still do.
Me too.
But sadly, it seems like they still prefer Mike Glennon, which is unfortunate. It's not probably going to matter results-wise, but I'd like to see Jake Fromm anyway. The Giants quarterbacks practice with tennis balls taped to their hands. I will never be able to pick that franchise again. Dallas wins. Texans at the Jaguars.
Man, this is the biggest tank bowl of the entire season right here. I don't know who to pick here. Both of these teams are completely horrible. Both of these teams are probably the worst for their franchise of the recent times, if not ever. And both of these are fairly new franchises, so it's easy to say that. This might be the worst teams both of these teams have ever produced in a single season. Urban Meyer's horrible. I hope he's one and done, because I think Trevor Lawrence has got a lot to give this sport, and Urban Meyer can't utilize that whatsoever. Texans aren't in much better shape. I think Davis Mills might actually give them a better chance to win than Tyrod. But you know what? It's another toss-up, so I'm going with the Jags and 3 points at home.
So this one, I also take the team you don't. I'll take the Texans because I really don't have much of an opinion on the outcome. I probably favor the Jaguars simply because of Trevor Lawrence, and he at least has potential, but then he shows up and throws 4 interceptions. I totally agree with what you said. Urban Meyer needs to go. He's got to go. He's lost the team. I do not want to see Trevor Lawrence go the way of Sam Darnold, because it's the exact same story right now. Comes in with all the talent in the world, MVP caliber talent, all the promise to turn a franchise around, you have to have the right coaching. Darnold suffered through years of Adam Gase, and he's still not recovered from that. I really don't want that to happen to Trevor Lawrence. They need to turn around, and it needs to happen fast. The faster it can happen, the better. But like, Urban Meyer needs to be out there before the end of this year, I believe. Like, end of regular season, he's gone. He has to be gone. And you look for a new coach, because this is not working. And for the sake of Trevor Lawrence, if nothing else, you have your future there, find someone else. Texans win this game because doesn't really matter. But I have to make up points. Titans at the Steelers.
Yeah, well, there goes the Titans rolling right over them, obviously. Steelers, they were bad like usual. I thought at one point in this game that they could have done something to the Vikings. I mean, they were on the comeback at the very end of the game, but the Vikings had just put up too many points on that horrible defense. Steelers are known for a great defense, and this year is probably one of the worst defenses out of that franchise history. It looks bad for the Steelers. They're just continuing that trajectory they were on at the end of last season after winning all those games. I'll stick with the Texans. Texans on the road.
Titans, you mean?
Titans, yes,
yeah,
Titans.
I take the Texans on the road. Yes, I will agree with that. I'm going to take Tennessee as well. Now, here's one thing that I have to point out the odds I was looking at. This one I can't help but shake my head at, because the Titans are 1-point favorites. You heard me. 1 point.
Wow.
Like, that 1 point splits don't happen much in football. This game is more or less basically a pick'em in Vegas right now, which I have no idea why that is. I don't quite get it record-wise, and also recent history-wise. Tennessee should be favored by a touchdown, I think, even in Pittsburgh. No idea why this is what it is, but if you're betting, maybe you can exploit that a little bit. I sure am going to. So Tennessee to win, and I will take the spread and everything. So Tennessee definitely at Pittsburgh. Jets at the Dolphins.
Yep, Jets are still horrible. This is a lot of horrible teams. At this point in the season, we know who's good and we know who's bad. Now, the Dolphins, we would have said they were bad at the beginning of the season because they had a horrible streak. But now the Dolphins are on a roll. They're much like the Colts. They have come back. They have turned the season around. They're coming off of a bye also, just like the Colts. And I hope to see those two guys playing a playoff game later on in the season. The Dolphins will roll right over the Jets at home.
Agree. Nothing can stop the Dolphins. They're unbeatable now after starting the season 1-7, undefeated. Kind of mirroring the Patriots. The AFC East has gained a lot of value during midseason there. But I agree with that. The Jets are knees deep in a rebuild. They're in a better situation than Jacksonville because I believe in Bob Saleh a lot more than I do Urban Meyer. I think he has the ability to be a head coach. He should get another year, possibly 2 or 3 more years. He's inherited a worse roster than Urban Meyer has. They're both working with young rookie project quarterbacks. And Zach Wilson has shown tangible progress, like tangible improvement throughout the season. Trevor Lawrence hasn't. That's also one thing to notice. I think Zach Wilson now is clearly better than week 1. Trevor Lawrence is not so far. They're further along than Jacksonville. Nevertheless, they're going to lose this one because the Tua train has left town and he's coming for the playoffs. The Washington, not Redskins, at the Eagles.
Yeah. And the backup that will never die. I think Kyle Allen will pop up every season for the rest of the time. Yep, he's back out there, and he's probably starting this game due to reports that I've seen so far. I don't think there's any change in Heineke at this point, unless there's some news that I haven't seen. So I'm assuming Kyle Allen starts this, and the Eagles are coming off their bye, and they should easily win this game. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't. I don't trust the Eagles by any means. Their quarterback is not that great, but he can run the ball, and that should be enough to beat Washington with Kyle Allen. Their
backup's pretty good. Wouldn't mind seeing him out there. It's weird with Washington there. They almost won. I mean, they came really close at the end of turning it around against Dallas, and these teams are currently equal records. This is pivotal for playoff conversation because at the moment Washington gets that last wild card. And being at 6-7, Philadelphia does not. There's a bunch of other teams 6-7 that are knocking on that door. This is huge for the Eagles if they want to have a shot at the playoffs. They lose this one, I think they're out. And I'm going to pick Washington. I'll go with them. I'll believe in them. Now, they're completely decimated. I get it. They have all their pass rushers. Like, Chase Young is out for the season. Montez Sweat, I think, got hurt or got on IR or something. I think Jonathan Allen had some issue as well last game. So it's not necessarily looking too great, but I believe the core of the team, I think they're going to hold up. And I think Kyle Allen, if called upon, he's not that much worse than Taylor Heineke if he's on his game. I think he's going to be able to pull it out against the Eagles. So I do believe in that. I also think they're better coached. I think Ron Rivera is one of the more underrated coaches in the NFL, which he's been around for a long time, but we never really given him credit with sort of the top 10 sort of head coaches. I think this is his game to take it and to manifest his spot, his claim at the playoffs. So I'm going with them. Fun fact: Kyle Allen, by the way, I think if I remember correctly, last played for the Panthers in 2018 or 19.
Well, I think they made an appearance. He made an appearance last year for the
yeah, he did. Yeah. Last year he did as well. Yeah. When Dwayne Haskins got benched, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. We have the Cardinals at the Lions.
Yeah. Speaking of this, though, the parity in the NFL, I was looking at this matchup right here. Cardinals are 10-3 going against the Lions at 1-11-1, but there is actually 10 teams in the NFL right now who are either 7-6 or 6-7. All these teams hovering around 500. That's amazing to think how much parity there is in the NFL right now. There's a few elite teams, and everybody else is average, and then a couple of really bad teams. As far as this matchup, the Cardinals are going to easily beat the Lions, even though they're coming off of a bad loss on Monday night. This is the Lions. Shouldn't be a problem.
How much I want the Lions to win this game, I cannot put into words. No, I'm not a maniac, so I'm not picking them. I gave them a shot against Denver. They got ran over. Not again. Arizona wins. But I will say I would prefer if the Lions just stopped playing for the rest of the season, so their record could always be 1-11-1, which is nice to look at. But unfortunately, that's not going to stay that way. Cardinals win. Detroit next year. Panthers at the Bills.
Yeah, the Bills are coming off of a hard-fought loss. And Josh Allen almost put the team on his back and got back into that game, clawed his way back, and almost did it. It was so close, but it didn't quite happen. On the other end, the Panthers are coming off of that L to Atlanta, which was pretty cool to see. I don't think Cam Newton is the answer. Yeah, he came back and looked good for one game, and he has been horrible ever since. He looks like the Cam Newton that he has been over the past 2 years. That one game was some weird fluke anomaly, obviously. And PJ Walker's not going to do them any better. The Bills are back at home. This is going to be a get-right game for the Bills, and they should take this one.
Where's Sam Darnold when you need him? I would love to see him against Josh Allen. They're the same draft class. I had them sort of evaluated very similarly to each other. Mm-hmm. Though I did have Josh Rosen up there too, which we don't talk about it that much anymore. Yeah, where is he? I think the Panthers aren't completely out of it, but that loss against Atlanta puts them kind of behind the 8 ball in terms of the playoff contention, because there's so many 6 and 7 teams. They're now 5 and 8, including, by the way, Atlanta and the Saints in their own division. So this is a game they have to win. But for Buffalo, this is kind of a game they also have to win, or at least really want to hang with New England. After losing a game that they had no business being in after halftime, they came back, showed some resilience, didn't get it done in overtime, and I think they'll get it right. I do agree with you there. So Buffalo wins at home. Bengals at the Broncos.
Man, I don't know what to make of the Broncos, to tell you the truth. They look dominant I say no, not even dominant. They looked good the first 3 games of the season, then they went on a losing streak and looked horrible, and now they seem to have figured it out. They seem to have figured out ways to just make it through this season and keep hanging on for hopefully a playoff spot when it's all said and done, maybe a wild card. They are 3rd in that division, I think, right now. Yeah, 3rd. I don't know. Like, this is tough because the Bengals looked dominant at one point this season, and now they have taken a turn for the worst. And Joe Burrow is not going to set records like we thought he was at the beginning of the season. I think I'm going to have to go with the Broncos, as weird as this sounds. They might actually win this game.
All right, I will take the Bengals, and this is one where I'm actually not just doing it to disagree, but I do this with conviction, because I saw the Bengals firsthand last week because they played the Niners, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, what they have to, if they want to win again, they got to stop putting the ball on the ground. You can't fumble 2 punts and inside your own red zone, and then just get a deficit that you took to overtime, can't overcome. Joe Burrow, by the way, played lights out in the second half. I think if the Bengals, in that drive in overtime, they get into the 35, if they don't get conservative and run the ball and they let Burrow pass it and go for a touchdown, I think they win the game. Now, first half they looked terrible, got nothing done. Special teams needs to fix their fumbling issues, but they clearly have a lot of potential. I think this game was blown by play calling and by individual error on special team more than a systematic problem. The Bengals are a better team than their record, which I think is the same record as the Broncos, who are not a better team than their record. So I will take the Bengals to go to Denver and win and make their case for the playoffs. Because for them, it's not entirely clear. You know, they're in a strong division and a strong conference in the AFC North there. So they have to win this game. I think they get it done. The Falcons at the Niners, and in this case, I will invoke my right, or will volunteer to go first on this pick. What do you think?
All right, yeah, go for it.
And I'm going to do that for a very specific reason. It's because, of course, it's a special game. You're a Falcons fan. I'm a Niners fan. I believe sometimes there comes this time where you have to back up your team. Any good fan would pick their team, especially in such a rivalry. That means I'm going to pick the San Francisco 49ers to win the game. And with that and those words, I'm going to hand it over to you to hopefully make the correct decision.
What is the correct decision? I'll tell you this, I've already circled the 49ers.
Oh, come on. You can't do that.
Well, one, I'm afraid of cursing the Falcons for sure. Although it worked last week. I mean, I picked the Falcons to beat the Panthers, and they actually did it somehow.
They did, yeah.
But it doesn't mean the Falcons are great. But
that's your team. You got to pick your team.
I know, but I mean, I do see the 49ers. They have been up and down this season, and they were 500 last week, which so I didn't see the Bengals win as any great, or the Bengals loss, a close loss, as any accomplishment. But I don't know, man. This is in San Francisco, so
they've been better on the road than at home historically the last few years.
That is true. Yes. You know what?
I think the Falcons have also been better on the road, so it should be an advantage for Atlanta, if anything.
Yeah.
I remind you, 2019, the Niners were running over the entire league on their way to a 1 seed in the NFC. One of the 3 games they lost was
the Falcons,
at home to the Falcons, and Julio Jones scored that last second touchdown. I remember that.
But that was also a coach and Dan Quinn, who knew the other coach in Kyle Shanahan, because he actually worked for him. So we could chalk it up to that. But it was in San Francisco. I don't know. The last time we went to San Francisco, we won. You know what? I've got points to play with anyway. I'll go ahead and take the Falcons.
Thank you. I made it my mission to get you to try to do that. I definitely appreciate that. Niners are 9-point favorites, by the way. Not sure if I agree with that big a spread. I do agree with them being favorites, but maybe 5 to 6 points, given they're at home. Maybe 6 points.
I think it's probably a close game. I think the Falcons jump out to a lead, and then the 49ers come back in the fourth quarter to win.
It's possible. It's possible. It's just it's a matter of, can you stop the weapons? You know, the last 2 weeks, George Kittle's been unstoppable. Before that's been Deebo Samuel. The Niners have this situation where they have a lot of these weapons, these stars, and if you can't stop one of them, they'll go to them all week. And some games are Kittle games, and they're Samuel games, and then they're Elijah Mitchell games. And the question is, can you stop all of them? Because if you can't, then you probably don't have a chance. But it's going to be up to the Atlanta defense. I am glad that I got you to pick the Falcons, though, because I knew you weren't going to, but I'm glad I got talked into it. With the spread, though, I will take the Falcons. +9, I will take the Falcons on that bet. But money line, hopefully this is a point. If the Falcons win, of course, tough luck, because then I talked you into gaining another point.
Yeah.
Seattle at the Rams.
Man, Seahawks fans think they still have a shot at the playoffs here. I don't know if you've been seeing the chatter, but they think they're going to come back and get that wild card spot. And the Seahawks do that a lot of seasons. I've seen so many seasons where the Seahawks were bad the first half of the season and then come back to actually make it into the playoffs and sometimes go deep into the playoffs. But I don't know. They've always been a second half team. The Rams look good. The Rams beat up on the Cardinals. The only problem is that I think the entire team is in the COVID protocol right now. They're on restrictions because too many of their staff and players have COVID right now. So I don't know if that's going to affect this game, but it is in LA, so I'm going to take the chance and just say the Rams are still going to win this game regardless of the COVID protocol.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I'll take the Rams as well. Yeah, the Seattle pipe dream, right? Still making the playoffs? No way. Not going to happen. Pete Carroll is out of there. Old folks home. He's gone. Russell Wilson, go to the AFC somewhere. That team is back to where it belongs before it came up in the 2010s, where it's been for 50 years, which is in the garbage can at the bottom of the division. And I am happy about that. I very much am. I think if they lose this week to the Rams and then either Washington wins or Atlanta wins, I think they should already be mathematically pretty much out, because the Rams are getting a wild card. The Niners are probably getting a wild card. They both have positive records. So the only way Seattle makes it in is if the entire NFC West makes it in. And there's a lot of teams at 6 and 7, 2 from the South, I think 2 from the East as well. I don't believe it, not one bit. And the Rams are going to make sure of that. Go Rams. Weird thing to say, right?
Yeah.
There it is. No, Seattle loses. Rams win. Packers at the Ravens.
Yeah, the Ravens doesn't look good for their outlook right now, depending on how long Lamar is going to be out. But I think the reports are saying that he is going to be out for this game at least. And the Packers are what the Packers are. Aaron Rodgers is out there doing what he does on his broken toe. And did you see the Aaron Rodgers also sitting in the crowd at this game?
I saw that, yeah.
he looked more like Aaron Rodgers than the Aaron Rodgers that's on the field right now. That's great. I think he's got a stunt double, man. Maybe that's what it was, is he broke his toe and he's just sitting out in the crowd while his stunt double's out there playing. But Packers should take this game on the road because of Lamar being out.
And if you had a stunt double who can play like him, that guy should get his own contract with a different team.
Exactly.
That would be insane. Yeah, I totally agree. Packers will win because this is a close one if Lamar is there, and if the Ravens are going to the playoffs, Lamar has to be back. If he's not back for the playoffs, they might as well stay home because they're not doing anything with Tyler Huntley. No, too big of a downgrade. They need Lamar Jackson to be there if they're going to go anywhere, which I'm starting to more and more inclined to say that they don't, as opposed to, of course, the Packers, who are going to get dragged kicking and screaming by their quarterback to the NFC Championship game, only to run into probably the Rams or the Bucks or some super team and get 50 points put on them there, and Aaron Rodgers can't stand up to, which happens every year. And then hopefully next year they might end up 2-15 because Aaron Rodgers is not there anymore. But that remains to be seen. Packers win this one. We have the Saints at the Bucks.
Usually a hard-fought game, a division game that should be close. I mean, the record wouldn't tell you that this is going to be close, but I think it will be. I think it's going to be really close. I think our boy's going to run the ball a lot. He's injured too. What does he have? He has something going on. I'd have to look that up. I forgot. But Tom Brady is Tom Brady. Sucks. Probably the MVP winner this season. Probably going back to the Super Bowl, all likely. So I'll take the Bucks at home here.
I do agree. The sad part about this is there's no Jameis Winston. And I think it wasn't the first game against Tampa Bay that he got hurt for the season. And it was a close game too. He was playing well until then. That sucks. That's the worst part. If this was Jameis Winston against the Bucks and the super team Bucks that they are right now, I would love to watch that. That would be phenomenal TV. Sadly, no Jameis. And with that, now Jameis is not a world beater, but he's much better than anything else they have to offer on the Saints right now. And because he's not there, I will have to give it to the Bucs. Which, somewhat paradoxically, we both should be rooting for the Bucs, because the Saints are competing with the Falcons and the Niners if the Falcons were to win for that that wild card spot as well. So,
but it's Tom Brady. Ooh.
Well, yeah, but you don't like the Saints either, I guess.
No,
you'd rather the
all.
Bucs have another win and the Falcons make it in than the Saints to make it in, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Monday night we have the Minnesota Vikings at the Bears.
It doesn't seem this way, but I think this game is going to be a shootout right here. I think this may be one of the highest scoring games of the season because, as we saw, the Bears are capable of putting up points, and Justin Fields is getting better with each game. I still don't believe in Matt Nagy. He's going to be gone at the end of this year, hopefully, and we won't have to worry about him anymore. He can go join Adam Guest wherever he's at. But the Vikings put up a ton of points on that Steelers defense. I think this is going to be a shootout. A lot of people probably figure this to be a low-scoring game. I don't know what Vegas has it as. But I think this is going to be a shootout. And if you're playing daily fantasy, you want to get guys from these teams. I would play so many assets in this game. I'm going to take the Vikings on the road to win this one, though.
Now, I'll say if you believe in a shootout, you should bet the over-under here, because the over-under is sitting at 44 points right now. That is on the lower end. Just for a comparison, the Chiefs Chargers is 51.5. So this is one of the medium to lower over-unders.
I knew it would be because both of these teams are struggling, and the Bears haven't put up a ton of points this season, but they are getting better offensively, and Justin Fields is figuring it out. And we know the Vikings defense you can easily score on. It's not that hard. And the Vikings have a decent offense that can put up points at any moment. I think this may be a 60-point game when it's all said and done. So,
it's possible.
I would put money on the over.
It's possible. Yeah, I can do that for you. We'll talk about that afterwards. It's not a bad idea. For my pick, though, I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears to win this game at home. I was hoping, actually, that you would leave me the Bears and take the Vikings. I think this could be, like you mentioned, this could be a very close game. This by no means decided. The Bears played well. They played really well against the Packers. And the game, the way it was standing, like 24-10 or something, 9 out of 10 times they win that game. And the reason they didn't is we know why. And where's number 12?
Exactly.
But 9 out of 10 times they win the game, and they play well. And Justin Fields played well. And 9 out of 10 times Justin Fields is the best quarterback in that stadium with that performance. I think he's going to do it against the Vikings. I think he'll get it done. This could be his sort of marquee win to kind of establish himself there, which he's came close a couple times to pulling that off. I think this could be it. Came close against the Packers, against the Niners. So I think this is going to be it. I will take the Bears. We have a lot of disagreements this week.
Yes,
a lot of them. Can you actually send me like a picture or a file of all our picks so I can look at it? Because sometimes when we have like 6 or 7 disagreements, it's tough to even to remember all of them. I just remember like a couple of them. Yeah. So I want to make sure that hopefully I can gain some points this week. I better. But the Bears, I'm putting my faith in Justin Fields there. Quickly before we get into fantasy, by the way, this is all the games. There's no bye weeks anymore, hence the Saturday games as well. We're going to week 15, so it's crunch time, no bye weeks. And the MVP voting is also getting closer and closer to completion. Theoretically speaking, it would be the regular season MVP only. Now, we do know that team success and making the playoffs kind of tend to fuel into that a little bit, but it's getting pretty close to the end there. You can vote for your MVP. If the season ended today, who would be your NFL MVP on my community channel page on Beyond Football, and let us know who you think. This week I included Jonathan Taylor in the options of the 5, so I think a lot of people will be happy with that. Who do you have, Smokey, after week 14?
Well, since Jonathan Taylor didn't play, I'm going to say I still think that Tom Brady's going to win the MVP. But my pick is changed to Cooper Kupp because he is still on fire. He is doing phenomenal work, and he's on pace to set some records here. I mean, Jonathan Taylor could easily come back and have a 4-touchdown game this week and take it back over, but right now I got Kupp.
You keep picking the offensive player of the year instead of the MVP.
Yes, exactly.
I know it's interesting thinking to have a non-quarterback.
I guess, coaches could say, well, the more important position is the quarterback, but sometimes great players like that can make an offense more than a quarterback,
And, there is a point to that, especially on the NFL level. If we're talking about the most valuable player, it's gonna be a quarterback. The most valuable player will always be a quarterback, just because that position is so much more impactful, so much more difficult to play, and so much more valuable than all others. So that is the case. I do agree with the fact that if it's a true MVP, it should be a quarterback award, more or less, because no one else will really get to that point. Because Cooper Kupp wouldn't have the season he has with Jared Goff, because he's had a couple seasons with Jared Goff. That would have never happened.
And he's had decent seasons with Jared Goff. Like he's been good in his whole career. But think about as far as a running back argument, if Derrick Henry, if that team stayed on the pace they were on, and Derrick Henry stayed completely healthy, he was on a pace to break every record known to the NFL as far as running backs go. He would have been the MVP in that case.
He would have had a very good shot, yeah.
He was way more valuable to the team than probably almost any quarterback in the league would have been in that position.
Well, it's been a decade since the last non-quarterback won it, which was Adrian Peterson, I think, in 2012.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a record-breaking year. There's no doubt. I mean, we've had back-to-back years of tight ends breaking the receiving yard record. None of them won MVP. Didn't even win Offensive Player of the Year, either one of them. It's going to take some record-breaking, off-the-charts performance for a non-quarterback to win
It's still possible that Cook breaks, the Jerry Rice and Randy Moss records.
The season receiving?
Yeah, one season record, yes.
Though, note, of course, one extra game. So
yeah, that's true.
Makes the comparisons a little bit tougher there as well. It should be like per game average, but he's in definitely rarefied air. He's doing good this year, and he did well against the Cardinals too. I'm sticking with Justin Herbert. It's been my pick for the last 3 weeks, and of course I also put a bet on that against you that he was going to be in the top 3 or top 5 of the MVP voting. So I'm going to have that come true. I think that's probably going to happen, but if he's going to be the actual MVP, it's still kind of out there. Very critical game, pivotal game against Kansas City. If he really shows up, he has a chance. Now, looking at the stats, the one thing that's kind of problematic for him right now is passing yards, because Tom Brady's got like 500 yards on him in terms of passing. If you look at the game film, the kind of throws that they make comparatively, Justin Herbert's miles above. But that's always been the case for Tom Brady. We know how he plays. He's just ruthlessly efficient, very low risk taking, and not necessarily the most the most gifted individual as a passer. But he plays the game so well, and he's very smart. Of course, he uses the experience to gain that consistency. But I'm sticking Justin Herbert. I think to his team, he's been the most valuable. Of course, always keeping in the back of my mind that we're not picking Aaron Rodgers, because for several reasons, he won last year. The media doesn't like him. He's not going to get it unless if it's possible to avoid. If we're being realistic, he should win it, but he won't. So Justin Herbert, also because I like Justin Herbert, and I predicted even before he broke out like this that he would be really good, and I like being validated in my picks there. So Justin Herbert is my MVP if he beats Kansas City, and well, I'm going to say that he does. How's the fantasy football world looking?
Yeah, well, it's playoff time. We're definitely into the playoffs. Some leagues have already started the playoffs, and some are just starting this week. Rarely would you see one that starts after this week, but there are some, depending on your league setting. So we've talked about strategy, and we talked about ways to get in there, and what to do if you are in there, and what to do if you're not in there. So right now, there's nothing to talk about but news and how to handle the news in the playoffs.
All right, so it's crunch time in fantasy as well. I will take it.
Yes.
I'm going to be watching that as well. Still not going to make the playoffs myself. I'm sitting at 6-8 now, though I do have a win streak now. I did win the last 2 games, did do pretty well, so catapulting myself up there. Still have a chance to make 5th in the league, but I'm not going to make the top 4. If I win out, I can make 5th. Yeah. So I'm still going to try my best, even with Joe Burrow as my quarterback. We'll see what we can do. So we're looking forward to that. Fantasy players, especially if you are in the playoffs, check out the Hurry Up offense coming up. just after the scoreboard later tonight before Thursday Night Football kicks off, to get all the information you need on how to possibly make some money, as you are going to do with a Trevor Lawrence lead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's interesting. And lost Lamar Jackson, and
oh, yeah. So
next man up.
Yep. Next man up is Trevor Lawrence, and that's all because I also had Deshaun Watson on that team, and he's not playing. So I actually had I traded Jameis Winston in the middle of the season for Trevor Lawrence. I received Trevor Lawrence and Odell Beckham and gave up Devontae Parker and Jameis Winston. And I really wanted, yeah, it worked out for me. But and now I can use Odell Beckham, and hopefully Trevor Lawrence is just going to get me enough points to keep me in there. And
Odell's been scoring touchdowns ever since he's with the Rams.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good value. Definitely good. All right, we'll be looking forward to that one. Let us know your predictions for all these games, your MVP pick, and whatever you have to add about fantasy in the comments. And we're going to see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard. Ha. Check.